it me. It me. How everyone doing? How are y'all doing? I know I'm not coming from my normal place. Might be a little bit more echoey today. I'm from a co-working spot, so this is going to be a quick stream. But I stream on Mondays in the morning, so I thought, might as well. I'm going to make my face smaller just to make this a little bit less insane. But hey, how's it going, people? Pilcrow, welcome in. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Oh, my chat got misaligned. There we go. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, the title is real. We're making a simple form parser. I know, forms. The hardest part of any, especially a React app. If you're a React dev in the audience, sound off on how hard forms are. Can we get a 1 in the chat if you think forms are hard? Because I think so. I think it's kind of inevitable. Well. Exactly. I know. I feel like it's a rite of passage. The first rite of passage is you got to build your own framework. The second rite of passage, you got to build a form library. Forms are annoying. There's just so much to them that doesn't feel right. Now, I'm going to say right away, we're not inventing like some client-side React form library. At least we're not making our own. I'm more interested in a server-side form library that takes a form request, it parses it out, and it gives you some data in the nicest way possible, so you don't have a bunch of if-elses and validations and success. Well, Beaver, welcome in. Yeah, when Pilcrow said well, I was like, wait a minute, are you Beaver? Or are you, what? If it isn't the Ben Man, if it isn't Mr. Beaver. Hope you all had a good holiday. I had a great one. I just flew back from Illinois. Started a little snow flurry up there. It was beautiful. And had some of the best smoked turkey of my life. My Uncle Rich, he knows how to make some smoked meats. Smoking these meats. We had smoked pork, sausage, turkey. Chicken's better than turkey overall. I agree. Like, if you're like at a restaurant, you're ordering something, or you're at like a taco place, well, okay, there's not turkey in tacos, but if you're out ordering something, always bet on chicken. Turkey's going to be a risk. But you can make turkey go off. You totally can. Turkey on a sandwich is great. Smoked turkey, I don't know, man. I think smoked turkey can be better than smoked chicken if you can do it right. My uncle's the only one that I know that can do it right. So it's who you know. It's who you know. I could change your mind if you could come try this stuff. I got some takeout that my dad took home with him. So I don't have much time, so I might as well just start screen sharing so my face is smaller, at least. Let's go ahead and do that. So the problem is you're going to see chat briefly because I'm just on my laptop. I only have one monitor, so I got to optimize for the space that I have. I also probably need to go ahead and close any browser tabs that I might have open, and also let don't open Gusto. Don't open my employee information. Yeah, let me see here. I'm building a form library. Yeah, I know. Okay, that's a good enough tweet. I'm building a form library. Yeah, I know. Bring all the people to the yard. You know what to do. Sound off on Twitter if you can. But let's head back over here. What were you saying? Turkey smoking as a service. Let me call my friends at Y Combinator. Honestly, that would be pretty good. Also, I'm realizing I don't want to show my entire OBS, so let me go to Twitch TV bhomestev chat. That'll be a way for me to tab over to chat whenever I need to. That's cool. You can pin your cheers. I don't even know what a cheer is, but good to know. All right. So I did a lot over the holidays, a lot of thinking. And thank you, Pilcrow, for talking me through some problems in the Whiteboard the Web chat, which, by the way, y'all need to join if you haven't. This is... All right. Over there, we're talking about all these new libraries that we're trying to build. So use your phone for chat. That would probably be smart. But I do like pulling it up, so when I'm responding, people know what's going on, the same way Theo does, or Primogen does. So I'm fine with doing this. Sup? What's up, Ronan? What's up, Ronan? Ronan, Russia? I don't know. But yeah, welcome in. So I did a lot of thinking. I'm more excited than ever about partials. all right? And I can probably show off some of that. But I'm also excited about a simplified way to handle forms. And this will not scale to every case. You will probably use TanStack Form or Formic for complicated client-side stuff. All I wanted to do was build a parser that looks for form data in the request. If there is some, parse it through Zod, and you can write out your little validation logic. And if that succeeds, give you the data. If it fails, give you field errors with all the types and everything lining up. That's what I want to build. And then we can build a client-side library on top of it to bring that validation to the client, but that's kind of like a nice to have. I'm just building something for client-side. But anyways, let me show you at least what happened to WOMP. This is what we were working on last stream. It's an interesting setup where we still haven't really gotten back to anything. I just wanted to use this as a battle tester for like multiple forms on a page, right? If you have multiple forms on a page and you want all of them to have validation, have field errors, and just re-render themselves whenever something goes wrong. I don't even know if this demo still works. Oh yeah, I got redirects working. Remember we were talking about that? I got redirects working. I invented my own little redirect handler. But anyways, I probably won't do that. I probably need a banner for that. But yeah, I set it up here and you can see it's got validation. And if it's successful, then it redirects to a sound that doesn't exist. But that was just me trying to make sure everything works. But this is a new partial library. Let me show this to you. So we have this sound form here, right? And this is encapsulating this form that we're looking at on the page. And inside of this, we have our handlers for the form and also search parameters to pass down information into this sound form. It's probably more helpful for me to show you where we're rendering this. So this is the home page where we have all of our boards set up, a mock database that's not really loading anything. And down here, we take all of our boards and we map them to these partial routes. So before we had a crazy web component and a bunch of manual setup, I encapsulated all of that into a partial component. So partial is just a utility that would come from a library at some point. But you can see here, we say partial, the name of the component that we want to render. And if you need to pass parameters to it, you can pass them as search parameters on the request. So this is kind of cool. You can treat a partial as a route unto itself. So what we're doing is we're calling this sound form route. You can see I have pages/sound form. We're calling the sound form route in the middle of our rendering cycle. And we're passing it some search parameters straight away so that it has the name and ID when it does that initial render. You could also have it do a database request and not pass search parameters. This is kind of a unique case where every form is tied to an ID. So kind of a helpful situation where you can pass through this. And we're basically making a fetch request on the server in order to render this guy out. So that doesn't sound super useful, right? At first you're like, why isn't this just a standalone component? The answer is re-renders. So now that we've established this as its own route, instead of re-rendering the whole page every time there's a form submission, we will stop at the boundary that we set. So instead of bubbling up form request all the way to the root layout, we're going to stop it right here. We're just going to re-render the individual form that cares about that form request. So you can see up top, we can get the search parameters if we want. And I had just a type generic to say the search parameters line up with this. I have a special parser and all that stuff. Don't worry about that. But you can see we're able to parse form data in the middle of a page. Normally you'd have to parse forms at the top of your Astro routes. No longer is that a thing. Now we can get form data, and you can also get them by individual names. We parse out the field errors because Zod is a manual process at this point in time. If we successfully parse a form, we want to redirect straight to the sounds page. Otherwise, we're going to handle it, and we'll add a fake dB delay if it's successful, and we'll give you the field error straight away if it isn't. And the last thing you got to do is server render all those field errors, and you can expect this little partial to re-render every time. So we can actually check the network as well. The network is probably the most powerful place for us to show this pattern off. So let's go ahead and reload that. This is a little bit big, so you can't really see everything. But you can see right there, we loaded all of our chunks up. And if I pass an invalid value, right now we have a minimum length of 2, so this would be an invalid submission. If I go ahead and do that, we can see we're sending a request to the sound form route, not to the root route. And that's all it's loading. It's loading this chunk right here. There's no React server components or anything. We're just loading HTML straight down the wire, and we're plopping it into the place that needs it. Pretty cool, right? And you can see we can also pass those search parameters. Those persist. Oh, God. Those persist between renders. So you can see name loading. And we also have the type encoded, so we can parse it back out. So we can say name is loading, which is a string. And then we have the ID of 4, which is also a string. You could have numbers, booleans, dates. We'll support a subset of things. But check that out. That's pretty cool, right? So view transitions are still a little broken. There's a couple other things I could fix. But you can see, that's all it is. And this is our simple partial. And here is all of our partial rendering stuff. And it's all encoded inside of this action, by the way. You can see here, action, pass up to this partial URL. So this way we can handle like progressive enhancement and other things. That's why it's kind of this nested query param. But that's it. It sends a request to board/soundform, and it re-renders the contents. That's it, baby. That's partial rendering. Partial rendering is just routes, and routes return HTML, and you hot swap HTML. There's no React server components. There's no nested layout conventions. It's just routes within routes. That's it. Server-side iframe? Kind of. Yeah, so right now, I'm debating how I'm going to do this, because when you render it inside the tree for the first render, I just render your component, like directly. It's not a fetch request to the component. It's rendering the component in line, which has a couple implications. Like the request URL is maybe not what you expect it to be. You might expect the request URL to be a request to the route, but it's instead going to be the request from the parent because we're just rendering the component directly. We should probably replace this with a server-side fetch for that component, just so we can parse it out better. The only reason I did this is to make sure all the scripts and styles are bundled for that component. When you render a component in Astro, that triggers all the script and style hoisting. And without that render, it may or may not have all your scripts and styles right away. So I just did this as a shortcut to make sure the Astro bundler knows what to do. The Astro bundler gives you all the resources that you need. And, well, I just have less code to maintain. So there is that trade-off. I'm still figuring out what the initial render should look like. But subsequent renders, refetches, those all go to boards/soundform. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. HTML forms is the simplest. Yeah, form validation might be a harder problem. TS2 limiting. Maybe so. I am fascinated, and now we'll get into forms because I do want to do some things here. But I'm most fascinated with this setup here, Remix Validated Form. This is from the creator of, what was it called? Zod Form Data. This is actually how I found it, is I was looking at Zod Form Data again. Like, oh yeah, I remember this library that I didn't really like. Let me see how it's doing. Let me see what it's doing. And it sounds like now they've sort of encapsulated all of it into Remix Validated Form, which is this full stack setup that gives you a client-side form that hooks into the validator and has async validation. It's got all this stuff, but it's tied around Zod. So if we check out server validation, for example, you can see you make a validator like that, and there's no magic anymore. Like checkboxes, I assume, would just be Boolean, and it would work fine. It's a little suspicious, actually. I don't know how they do it. But you can see here they have adapters for Zod and Yup. 2 3-letter validators. It's kind of funny. But yeah, they have adapters for both. Taking an object, and then here's everything. This is fine. I think there's a problem with this, though. Because once you bring this to the client, I was thinking, oh yeah, normally with forms, you validate on blur, right? So instead of waiting for the person to submit everything, you wait for them to tab out of the input, and then you validate it right away so that you can give them that instant feedback without it being too instant. Because this is all wrapped up in a big object, there's no way to validate just first name. Because you might have a pre-process, you might have a transform. You can't just validate first name because they encapsulated it with this object. So I would say kill this Z object wrapper. And also kill this, because Zod is the best, and why do we need adapters? So I think this could be improved. But overall, I like their system, I think. And Pilcrow, you might have been wondering about arrays and get all. I was wondering that too. And then I discovered that they have something like this, which is a bit interesting, and I don't know how well it'll work out. There was a place where you can actually look at the validator. Where did that go? Where did it go? Dang it, there was a really nice, was it demo? No, it's not demo. Server validation? No, we were just there. Not default values. Repeated field names. It's not that either. Dang it, where was it? Where was it? Did they just change maybe they just changed the docs on me. Because this has been in flux a little bit. Maybe they just changed the docs. Field array? I don't know. Dang it. Well, I can at least show you what it was that I was looking at. What they had was something like this, where you would have like the Z object. Come on, Z object. And then you would have, if you have like a radio input with multiple things, you would say selection 0, Z string, selection at 1. See, obviously this doesn't work if you have all arrays. Maybe you would need a special syntax like all or length or something. I don't know. But this was the syntax they came up with to handle multiple form inputs with the same name. Just literally parse out array indices, whatever. Let the parser figure it out and then return it back to you. This is about as good as like, I don't know, like to me this reminds me of Laravel's validation after I started reading their docs. So I don't mind this. This is like a half measure that works well enough. So I feel like we can just fork off of everything that they're doing with Remix validated form, since I think it's good enough, and just bring that to server-side validation. I'm sure Pilcro's already screaming, but this isn't perfect. But arrays that are a variable length aren't supported by this. And checkboxes, you have to do a look ahead to figure out if the Boolean is actually a Boolean. I know! It's not perfect. But I think it'll be good enough for the forms that I use. So I think I'm going to fork it, and I think I'm going to just build it. That's my plan. Let me go back to chat. Let me pin that. Z-object. Hello, Shreyas. Welcome in. Hey. They updated the docs a little bit after V2. Yeah. Do you think archetype will be better for this? I have no idea what that is. Why Zod, though? Because I like Zod. Is there a better one? Some people are Team Yup. Seems too big for the client. I don't know. I think it's around 5K. They got the size down. And they are working on a light version that has just a subset of validators. So, oh yeah, Valibot is cool, but I think it's too early, man. I think it's too early. I wanted to use something that's already inside of... This for the creators of Quick, right? This is like a really tiny validator. Let me look at it. Because I love transforms and refine. You know, I want to keep all of the Zod features because they all have a place, even on the client. I already thought of examples where refine would be fantastic. Yeah, I'm not going to get sidelined by that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let chat tell me to use a different library. React Zorm. Oh yeah, I think I heard of that one. I don't like libraries that take a Zod schema, or any schema really, and generate inputs for you. That's not right. You should write your own HTML and then wire it to the form. Even if there's duplicate names. I don't like how far that library goes. I don't know if it's React Zorm, but I know one of them did that and I didn't like it. I feel like you could build a simple Zod that only supports type checking and a flat object. Maybe. Yeah, so a flat object would be good. That's true. We could strip out object. We maybe strip out arrays. But you need refine, you need transform, and you need pre-process too. So I think there are some pretty hefty parts of the library that would still be necessary. Web only or agnostic? What do you mean by agnostic? If you mean native, like React Native, that's not our target, but that is interesting. IOTS game. Oh my, there's so many suggestions. Never heard of Yup before the Save.js survey. I've only heard of it because we got asked. Because here's why I like Zod, specifically in Astro, is we leaned into it for content collections. So you can use Zod to validate your markdown front matter. You can see in here somewhere, you can declare a Z object, and you can do union types and all this madness if you want to. But this is what we've leaned into. And we even have Zod built into Astro. This was just a consequence of, having to have Zod be part of the core libraries. You can import Z from Astro/Zod. You don't have to install Zod. It's part of every Astro project now. I don't know if that'll be true forever. I don't know. But because it's so entrenched in some of Astra's APIs, it just makes sense to keep using Zod for this library. So I'm just going to eat the client-side cost, which is going down, and just use it. Straight up, that's what I'm doing. That's it. Forms are the worst part for me on web dev. I hate stuff like React Hook Forms. I think React Hook Forms, it does do it better than the component-based solutions, but man, all the prop spreading, it's nuts. There's so much setup to React Hook Form that I don't like. I really don't. So I'm with you on that. I am. But anyways, let me show you, validation aside, let me show you the library that I want. So we already have bits and pieces of it in here. If we check out, let me go to SoundForm. You can see we already have this get form data helper, which I'm going to rename to form.getData. But you can see this does a few things for you. First, okay, we also have partial, which is a much more complicated library. Well, let's talk about just forms. So first we check if there's a form request at all. A form request is anything that's a post request. I know it's an assumption, but we're going to say post request only. And whether the content type starts with either application xww or multi-part form data. These are the two payloads you could expect for forms, and sometimes they have a bunch of weird metadata on the end, so we say starts with. I could Google if this is like a all cases battle-tested system, but for now I'm just going to say, yeah, we're only handling post request only with these content types. If it doesn't match that, just move on. Otherwise, grab the form data, and we use clone to make sure that you could also parse the form data yourself, because without clone, this only runs once. Just a side effect of servers, man. And we also check for a type. This is a cool little addition that I made, where if you have multiple forms on a page, it's common to have a hidden input that tags specifically which form it is, and it's often called type. I don't know if type is the best name, but it's often called that. So I said, inside of the SoundForm, for example, we have a hidden input called type, and the value is the ID of that element. So this is a form request for the ID of whatever. And that's going to be like a first-class citizen. If you have that hidden input with the name type, then we'll just give it back to you based on that. So that way you don't have to have a Zod validator that checks if the type's present, and if so, here's the value. That's really annoying. It would be better if we could check it up front and return the data if so. Otherwise, don't do anything. So that's what I've gone ahead and done. And that's it. So now instead of having a bunch of conditionals that check, is it a form request? Okay. Is there data? Okay. Is it the type? Okay. You can just call Astra locals get form data. And you can pass it an ID if there's multiple forms on the page. And form data will either be undefined or form data. All I want to add to this is a little validation. So you could say that name is this string, for example. And I think it's called name. Just going to double check that. Yeah. So you would say like name min2, something like that. And this would parse it for you. So the ID is optional. The validator is also optional. But now form data, instead of being undefined or form data, it would be something like this. Result would be, it would be undefined if there is no form request. Or it would be success true, the data being type of your validator, right? Type of your validator. I'll just say unknown. But that'll be the type of your validator. Or it was unsuccessful in parsing it. And we have field errors, which will bubble up to the top. And this will be something like that. And form errors, which are just top level, oh God, something went wrong. I don't know if there will be any form errors because we validate each one in isolation. Actually, yeah, I'll just keep it simple. So if it's errored, then we'll tell you individually which fields errored out, and whatever error messages get in there. Could be one, could be multiple. And that's the whole API. So form data will be the type of this result. And you could just do if, form data.success, you would probably redirect and pass the data along with it. Or you would write the data to a database. And if it's not successful, then you would have field errors. So down here, we would probably say field it. And this is where I'm debating if we should even have the success flag, because it does add a little bit of noise to your checking, but it is a little bit more robust. So I'm debating. I'm debating if I like that. So if it's unsuccessful, we would say field errors. We would do a check for field errors. It would be something like that. If it's not successful and there's field errors for name, then we'll go ahead and write them out. But we also don't really, oh yeah, we do need the conditional if we have a UL. That much is true. So this would be what you write to display field errors. Again, debating if there should even be a success flag or if field errors and data should just both be top level, just like this, you know? And it would be like unknown or undefined. This would be the validator type, or undefined, you know, something like that. And then field errors would be undefined or. So these would both be question marks. And it's either one is defined or the other is defined. And you just check, like, are there field errors or are there data? And that's how you decide which one is which. Success is a more, you know, future-proof version of that in case we have multiple field errors and multiple things to check. But tomato, tomato. This is what I want, though. I want to see this. That's what I want to see. That could be a union type. Well, yes, it is a union type. That's what I've done. I thought you gave up on Zod. When would I have given up on Zod? Did I give up? Huge fan? Well, thank you. You're breathtaking. I appreciate you. Maybe it should be __ type. Yeah. Form lib type. Yeah. That could make sense. Honestly, I get it. I would probably do something like simple type, you know, because it's a simple form and simple whatever. That's the brand. We could go ahead and do that. Form parsing errors for for form errors. Request form data can throw. Interesting. Oh yeah, that would be form errors. Ooh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, we could do that. You got frustrated with how it did something and you were like, oh no, I can't use Zod. I think I got frustrated with this library, which is a wrapper around Zod that's really weird and gets noisy fast. So if it was, I may have been referring to this library, but I've never given up on Zod. Maybe in like one case I was getting annoyed with like success and failure cases, but I'm not going to write off the library. I think we just need a nicer wrapper so you don't have a ton of conditionals checking if it is there, then I'm going to parse it. If it's parsed, bubble the errors to a global thing. Just remove that. Calm down. Zen. So yeah, things I want to implement because I don't have much time. And I also need to give a remote talk where I'm going to build Eventbrite from scratch, apparently. It's going to be really simplified, right? We're going to have like a ticketing page with a form. That's what I wanted to. But as part of it, I wanted to showcase this simple form, right? I want to, because it'll make my demo go more smoothly if there's less for me to do. And it would also be a good way to promote the work that we're doing here. So I want to package this up by tomorrow afternoon, just to have something to work with. And at first I was getting ambitious, like, should we have the client form library too? I will not have time for that. I do not have anywhere near enough time. I barely have time for this stream. So we're going to simplify it. We're just going to add validation, and we're going to package it up. That's my plan. So if I head back over here, we have locals get form data. And I do want to change the signature a little bit. Because form might have multiple values at some point. I'm going to treat form as a namespace. And I'm going to say get data inside of it. Something like that. And type just feels wrong to me. I don't know if TypeScript just broke my brain, but type doesn't feel like the right name. I feel like it's the form name is actually what it is. We're just, you know, abstracting it. I don't know. Yeah. It's also a little annoying. I have to like define types separately, but oh well. Let's say form. Boop, ba-doop. Get data. And for now, that works. So let me just make sure I line this up. Form.getData. Cool. That's the new signature. Oh, God. What do you mean? Did I not save my middleware? I didn't. That's annoying that it breaks the server. There's a lot of things that crash Astro completely that I'm a little surprised by. All right, let's make sure this still works. It does. All right, so now we're going to add some validation. And the type being the first argument is a little awkward because you might just have a validator, you might just have a type, or you might have both. This is where named arguments could come in, but that's a lot of noise. It gets really annoying. So I do want positional arguments just to make it look clean. So we're just going to assume the type is always there for now. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Because, this is like, this would be the case where you switch to named arguments and use an object, but I just think it's so visually ugly. You know? I want to keep it clean. All right, let's just do this for now. Validator should be a Zod type. Well, actually, no, it should be a record. Record. String, and we'll just say Zod type, but at some point we'll need to narrow this so you can't put in any Zod type ever. Yeah, and this will just be question mark, whatever. So there we go. If data type, return data. These are our conditionals. If not type, we're going to parse it. Data get equals type. And I don't know if we want strict objects. I don't think we do. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to loop over each form data element, though. We're not going to use preprocess. We're not going to parse the object wholesale. We're going to parse each thing individually because I want that atomic. That's what atomic. I want it to be atomic, where each form input can be validated in isolation. So you could have just validate this input on blur. I want to make sure that stays as part of this. So I'm going to loop over to form data. That's what I'm going to do. This is going to be the form data. And yeah, you're right. We could have form errors inside of here that just pass back the form errors. And we would say success false, something like that. That seems like a good idea. But that's also an optimization. Let me do that later. All right. To do hoist error exceptions as form errors. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that is noted because I want to get to the good stuff. So we're going to have a utility function already. This is going to be validate. And this will take a validator. Yes, something like that. And a validator. I think it'll just take form data, though. Because I want to... For key value of object entries data, not bad. Const type validator at key. Let me see if it just rewrites this. But also, I don't like what it wrote. So maybe I should... Yeah, okay. So we do want that. This is the data. All right, that makes some sense. So we can say that, if not field continue. That makes sense too. Yeah. And we would say field parse value. We want a safe parse so we can bubble up errors as we go. Maybe we should wrap it in I'm debating if we should just wrap it in a Z object and pass the whole thing. Because we are going to need to get the key. No, the loop is good. The loop is good. Because we want to support arrays at some point too. So this is good. This is good. Let's go ahead and keep it here. Because I want get all to work eventually. Let me also check chat. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Sub with Prime, Helmrich, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, I spend too much time thinking about making APIs clean. I know, it's such a dilemma. Naming things in clean APIs, super hard. Dude, I probably looked insane on the flight yesterday because it was like a 1-hour flight. It was a connector. And there wasn't enough time to even take out my laptop for more than 20 minutes. So I sat there listening to a podcast, but I didn't really listen to it. I was just staring off into space, thinking about this form library. The whole time. It's just how I operate, is I think through API choices, and I don't even code. I almost don't want to code. I just want to think about it, because I'm worried if I start coding, it'll be wrong. So I thought through all of the weird ways that this API could work. I also thought about what if What if get form data returned a form component, and the form component had the type, and the type was a unique ID, so you never have to write them yourself? And I was like, but what if you want to manage the form? But what if the form's rendered in React? But what if all these things? It's like, guys, you're making it too complicated, man. You're trying to make it so clean, and you haven't even gotten the first part done yet. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just focus on this, which is getting data, if it exists. And then step 2, validate the data, if you can. Then we can figure out arrays. Then we can figure out how do we parse a checkbox with a Boolean, which is going to be something that's possible. We got to think about it. There's just, you got to think through the problem. You don't want to overdo it. But anyways. Oh yeah, if we don't have Zod doing the field error collection, we have to collect it. But to be honest, it's very easy to collect them. So let's go ahead and do that. It'll be the type of this record. Okay. Because I want type inferencing to work all the way down. I want type inferencing to work. So the validator can't be this type. It can't be. It has to be something. It has to be a T. We gotta generic that. Because otherwise your types will die. We need that. And the field errors are going to be key of that. Key of T. String. Nice. No. What? Oh, I see. I see why you would have to do that. Yeah, that's rough. Because we need to initialize it to the values, but we don't know what they are. Yeah, you don't know what they are yet. We have to collect them. It's so dumb. Types, man. Types are hard. Because we need it to equal that by the end. Grr. Yeah, if we just cheaped out and used Zod's field errors, we could totally make this happen. But we would need a preprocessor just to make sure it all lines up. Yeah. What should I do? What should I do? I think I'm going to cheap out. That's what I'm going to do. And we're going to up the preprocessor at some point. So this is the validator. But we can actually change this to be, we'll make that a T. We'll say, that's a T2, and this extends Zod object. And the problem with Zod object is it's really, it wants everything. It wants to know everything about the object. So yeah, let me just keep it where it was. We want to do that. That's the guaranteed type. And we're going to say Z object validator. Yeah. We don't actually have the import. Interesting. Only the type. So we'll say Z object. And I think we have to preprocess in order to turn form data into something. But how does preprocessing work? I know that's a concept. Anybody object or something similar. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe a type called to_do_comment. Interesting. Use auto. Does CS have an auto? Not an auto, I don't think. Zod object any. Yeah, Zod types are so hard if you have to write them yourself. You're just like, Zod, just infer it. Just infer it. I don't know what you're doing. Just infer it. I don't know how your thing works. I just like writing it. How do your types work? I don't care. Just do it. All right, see, this is what we want. So we want to pre-process the form data into something better. Then we want to pass it to the object. It'll be something like that. And then it's our job to massage it to something better. Expected 2 to 3 arguments. What? Oh, I see. Preprocess wraps around this whole thing. Ooh, wild. So that's what it wants. And this is probably saying, nah, dude, you can't tell me what that is. Yeah, it's unknown. I can probably even do this and it'll be inferred, yeah. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Let it flow. Let it flow through. And then we'll also return that, and then we'll pass it to the validator. To do, robust, checking for arrays, checkboxes, etc. For now, we're just going to do it like this. Actually, checkboxes will be fine doing this approach. Map multiple form values of the same name. Yeah, that's what I mean. So we don't have that right now, but it should be easy enough to do. We'll turn it into an object when you're parsing it at the top level, but you can also parse it atomically whenever you get to that. Okay, so this is our parse. That's it. So now we don't need to loop anymore. That's cool, because it's mostly going to handle it for us. So this is the result. And we're just going to return the result, I think. Look at this insanity. Like, oh, God. Oh, it's awful. I don't even know how it got there. I'm just going to assume that we can say result.success. Yeah, we can still do that. But all the generic types and stuff wrapping it, like, let's be real. It's 5K of JavaScript and 100K of types. TypeScript's insane. Us library authors, we've got it hard. Zod's probably the most complex type problem that I know of, other than TRPC. Those are the two frameworks that just what they deal with is insane. Tanstack too, yeah. What he deals with is insane. So yeah, we have a validator. If not form request, return that. Return, and we could say right here, if not type, result equals wait, validate. And I do want to do safe parse async in case you want to do asynchronous logic. That would be nice. So let's go ahead and do that. Wait, validate, form data, validator or that. Oh, yeah. Because I did want to reuse some logic here. I should probably say that this is actually questionable. If not validator, then we're going to return promise resolve form data. I mean, I hate having to do that to be type safe, but whatever, dude. So I'm going to say if not validator, return success true. Data is going to be form data, actually. We're just going to let it ride. And that's it, I think. No field errors or anything. That's ugly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my early return there. There we go. If not validator, just return that. Otherwise, return result. And that should be good. Why is that bad? I don't understand. Form data should be form data. What? Why is this bad? Oh, it's a promise. Oh, right. Yeah. We don't await it up here. I was avoiding the await, and I really don't know why. That's like a micro optimization. It doesn't really do anything. Yeah. So let me see if I can do result.success. I still can, regardless. If result.success, return result data. I'm just checking if all the types work right now. I don't actually want to do any of this. Oh, there's no field errors. There's no field errors. Why are there no field errors? That doesn't make any sense. It's because of this. It's totally because this is breaking everything. And writing this type manually, having to write this type manually is the absolute last thing I want to do. It's the absolute last thing. Oh, please no. So yeah, I'm going to remove that for now. We could just do an empty object, I guess, but that's not really what I want. So we'll just say if not validator. Then, oh, but this is going to break you on the return side. Frick. All right, fine. We'll just do this for now. Because I really want to lean on inference. I really want to lean on inference. So I'm going to do it. Eventually I'll type this manually, but God, I just don't want to. So we can do error dot. Okay, and it's got everything. It's got everything, so that's good. I do want to check, though. Is there a utility type that I have floating around? I think there is. Field errors? Oh, what? I had a utility type for this. Oh, it's gone. It's gone with the wind. I don't know where I put it. So I'm just going to ignore that. All right. Let's assume that there's always a validator for now, because we want there to be a validator. Let's just say there always is one. Screw it. There's always a validator. And yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. So we're going to say you always have a type and you always have a validator. Screw the conditionals. Let's just say, happy case, you always have a validator, and we'll deal with the other stuff later. That feels right. There we go. Yeah. So this will just give you the result, await validate. Cool. And is there a way to delete it and then do it? So we'll say return await validate, and you don't even have to await it at that point. You can just say return validate. If not. Oh yeah. I forgot that type is now this required thing. Oh, whoopsies. It doesn't make sense. Let me do that, just for now. If not type, return validate. And then we say form get equals type. Then we're going to return validate. Data clone is equal to form data. Can you just clone? No, you can't. New form data. The reason I'm doing this is I want to pluck out the type before he passes her to validator. I don't know if I need to, though. Yeah, you can't just clone form data like that. Because if I mutate it, we're gonna maybe run into issues. Or actually, no, we cloned the request, so it doesn't even matter. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. And that returns void. Sounds good. And then return validate. That's good. We'll just go ahead and do that. If there's not a type, just validate it straight away. If get type equals type, then go ahead and delete the type off and then validate. And then in other cases, it just returns undefined. Which is the default anyways, but I'm just going to be explicit here. So, yeah, get data is now not returning what it used to. So, we do need something here. We do need something here. T extends. I guess I have to manually type this. I thought I was going to avoid it, and I can't. I can't avoid it. I can't escape. Why are you building this inside an Astro app? Because Astro is the best place to build a server-rendered app. And I'm going to prove it. Better than Next.js. I'm going to prove it. I used to be not very bullish. I used to be a little bearish and think, I don't know if we'll ever get there. We're there. Astro is the best place to build these kinds of apps. The primitives are there. We just need to build some nice libraries to really pull people in. That's what I believe. That's why we're using Astro for this. We're not using Astro for what you're used to, but trust me. Trust. This will work. So I think we just do Z infer. Z infer. No. Z infer. And it's got to be a wrapper around T. Because T is like a... T is not an object yet. So we have to say Z, Zod. No, that doesn't work. Zod object T. Does that work? I have no idea if that works. T extends Zod raw shape. I guess this is a raw shape. I guess we have a raw shape here. I have no idea. But that should work well enough. It still doesn't work? Great. Awesome. Love it. Didn't expect it to. Oh, we broke... Wait, how do we break that type? How does form not even exist? Yes, it does. It's right there. It's right there, dude. What's the problem? You're drunk. Restart. Doesn't make any sense. It might be the generic that's breaking it. Is it the generic? I'm confused. I'm confused. Why is locals.form no longer a property? Can someone tell me what I'm doing wrong? What's the type of locals? Did we lose everything? Yeah, we lost everything. Clearly there's just something wrong with this. Oh my god. This is the most annoying thing ever. Top-level imports don't work in D.TS files. They don't work. You have to inline import everything. And I can't figure out a way around it. You cannot top-level import. You just can't do it. You have to do this. I don't know why. I wish I knew why. I really want to know why this is, that I have to do this. But I ran into this building some core libraries. I was like, why? 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 It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so yeah, now we have to deal with this garbage. Shut up. Shut up. So it's not actually going to return the parse result. It's returning a safe parse, right? So let me see if there's anything we can use for that. Safe parse return type. Yeah. And it takes an input and an output. Well, optionally. Does that work? You can't import. Yeah, you just can't. Only solution is to use declare module. Crazy, right? So you can do inline imports like this, because I do this all the time. But it sucks. Hey, it worked. That actually worked? Really? Well, great. Awesome. I don't understand why, but that's great. So this won't work if you just have form, if you don't have a validator, but that's fine. We don't have one. Okay, and ooh, this works, but what is that? We failed. We didn't do anything right. Ugh. I thought we had something. We don't. We're not even close. Crap. What? I don't know what to do. Types are so hard, and Zod types are even worse. I'm so annoyed, because I'm going to spend another 2 hours on types, and I don't have time today. Because I have to actually prepare for a talk. Ugh. I'm so mad. All right, fine. So I need to get some quicker feedback here. So let's say this is the validator. And I want to get an object type. I want to get the parse result. So I want to say this is going to be the safe parse result. It's equal to safe parse result, right? So this is going to be a safe, yeah, sorry. Let's type this. I'm just playing with types. I'm playing with types, people. Type result equals safe parse result. Type of validator, kind of, sort of. So this already breaks. It didn't import. Why not? Safe parse return type. Sorry about that. It requires 2 type arguments. Well, that's our first problem. So we need the input and the output. All right, so we'll start here. This will give us a surprisingly good result. I don't know why an object is enough, because I thought you'd need the Z object wrapper. But that's surprisingly good. Sorry. Forgot how types work. There we go. Something like that. Res.success. Yeah, wow. So if res.success, it would technically have res. What? Why not? It looks right, but yeah, it's probably just wrong. So if I turn this validator into something like this, what does that look like? Yeah, now it's still broken. Okay, interesting. I think you have to do z-infer. I think you have to do z-infer. I have no idea, though. Let's see. Now that just takes us back where we were. I know that there's like 0 demos in the docs of any of this, but I'm just gonna hope. Nah, there's nothing. They don't help you with types at all. They only help you use the library. So selfish. Don't they know library authors exist too? Come on. Woof. This should be the safe. That should be it. It's safe parse success output or safe parse error of input. Yeah, it makes sense. So what is safe parse success? It's got data when it's successful. It's of type that. So yeah, what? That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, we do need it to be a z-infer. In fact, there's a z input and a z output these days because they realize they're different things. They certainly are. So you can do this in case there's transforms or whatever the heck. So we can do that, and we'll just add the z object back so we don't have to deal with types yet. But yeah, you can see there, it's got safe parse success output or success error. I think the problem is that res doesn't exist. Is that the issue? Well, let me first see if the types line up. Because yeah, if I do a validator safe parse, we get the result. And we should be able to say, why are you giving me the enter key? If res.success, res.data, okay, it was because it wasn't assigned. Cool. So this type is right. The type is right. Now we need to figure out, how do you do this when you don't have this? How do you do this when that doesn't exist? What is the type now? Well, you would probably do type of validator, and you would pass it into Zod object. Maybe that would work. Maybe that would work. Let's give that a shot. No, it doesn't work. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we wrap it ourselves when we do the validation, yada, yada. But okay, I think we get the same result. We do. Okay, so this is it. This is the sauce. This is the sauce. Because debugging d.ts files is an absolute nightmare. It's better to just go in a TypeScript file, figure out what you're trying to do, and then come back. Yeah, I could declare module just so I don't have to keep doing this, but I don't know. I don't really care. So yeah, we're going to instead do this. I don't care. I'm just going to do it like this, dude. As insane as it looks. So we have the validator, which extends string Zod type. That makes sense. Input Zod validator. And it's not type of validator. It's now just T. Yeah, it's just T. All right. And then we put this inside of there. Okay, I think I did it. That's what it needs to be. So middleware is broken now, but I don't really care. I just care that form data is actually what I expect. If form data.success, what do we get now? Oh, come on. What? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. If form data success, form data.data, yes, dot, oh, please have a name. Oh, you suck so much. You don't have a name. Why not? Let me make sure this has a name. res.data.name. It does. This works. Why? That naming was just bugging me. Why does this not work? It doesn't have anything on it. It doesn't even know what data is. It's a mess of generics that no user could ever understand, which I hate. I hate that so much. Because it's like, yeah, even if it works, if as a user I see wall of types that I can't read, then the library's worse. It just is. If it looks, you see, this is what it should look like. But for whatever reason, it looks like this. Why do you look like this when you should be looking like this? It should look like that. And it doesn't. Because generics suck, and generics break things. I think the problem is that it doesn't infer this how I want it to. I think that's the issue. I'm going to remove the extends, because I don't even care anymore. I'm just going to remove the extends and see where we end up. Nope, it's still ugly and it still doesn't know what properties it has. Oh, come on. Generics suck, man. They really do. I don't even know what to think. Because we figured it out, but it doesn't work. Now, let's just go back and compare all of our types to make sure we did it correctly. Because maybe we didn't. I'm even going to put it in a comment, just to make sure. So we have safe parse return type. That's true. We have Z input, Z object, type of validator, which in this case is a generic. Then we have the output type. Oh, we have a Z. We have a Z. That's it. We have a Z. I hope that's it. I really hope that's it. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Whew, I was worried. All right, we did it. We did it. We got the types to line up. Finally. Finally. Okay, so now we're going to end up here, and it's going to say, which is okay. I understand. So we could simplify the types a bit, because we already have inference, right? Generics are a little tough. Extends, record, string. I'm going to make sure that this works, because we do want that to extend that. Otherwise, we'll run into issues. But yeah, and I should just stop my dev server because we're not doing anything with that. All right, so that works. And then we have parse data name, all that stuff. So if you also pass like, you know, a non-object, like an array, it should tell you that's, okay, maybe an array is actually fine because objects. What if you just pass garbage? Okay, that doesn't work. Good. What if you pass Zod string, but just top level? Oh no, it's okay with that. Why are you okay with that? You shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be okay with that. I guess because it's a record, it kind of works still, which is really weird. Extend Zod raw shape. I think that was one of them. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, I think we can do that. Yeah, okay, now it's working. Now we're cooking. Okay. And we'll just say name string min2. Perfect, okay. So yeah, now we're using Zod to do this a little bit more properly. And the inference still works. And if we say not parse success, not, we should be able to say parse.error.errors. Flatten. Oh, there's something to do here. Yeah, you can do field errors. And field errors will have the type inferred as well. Coolio. We are going to modify that payload a bit to make field errors at the top instead of at the bottom. But overall, the types are working. The types are working. And this is probably failing because we hoisted field errors to the top level or something like that. It's my guess anyways. We're just going to say that, well, okay, I think the generics have to line up, so we'll just keep this as Zod raw shape. I think we'll just keep that. And then that's the validator. I think everything else lines up. Not sure, though. I might be able to just keep that. Oh, I can't. Really? It can't infer that? Oh. Well, never mind. You gotta have duplicate types, I guess. But yeah, everything else should be lining up. Everything else should be lining up. I think we just need to pass the T. Pass the T. And that will make sure of everything. Oh yeah, and it needs to be or undefined. I think we need that. Oh, we do have that. So now I don't know what the issue is, because this should work. Oh, it's probably the safe parse not being synchronous. Nope, that doesn't work either. Well, dang it. Yeah, Z object, validator, safe parse. That should work. What's the issue? Oh, I don't even care. Okay, so errors. Uh-huh. We're returning the validated type, man. If not, is form request return. I'm looking at everywhere that we return. And we definitely return what we expect. Huh. Well, this is just, I don't even care. Because as long as the user types are correct, I don't really care if my types break. Because I know this works. I know this works. So I don't know how it could break for them. Because yeah, we grab the form data, we validate it. This should work. I don't understand. And yeah, all of this is just an absolute mess. Don't worry about any of this. It could be because we have generics in two places. I don't know. Yeah, C, safe parse error unknown, because technically T could be some random type that's not what they expect, blah, blah, blah. That's probably what's going on. Yeah, the validators of, I mean, everything is right here, and I'll even inline this just to really hammer home that this is the same thing multiple times. This is a safe parse result based on that generic. And it's probably just saying, oh, this generic might not match the other generic, therefore explode. Which is just obnoxious and stupid. I hate it. Hate it. Oh no! Force quit. Yeesh. I almost opened my Discord. How we doing, chat? How we feeling? I'm exhausted. Embrace JS and libraries, TS and apps. Oh, I know. That's literally where I'm at. Thank you, Matthew, for the sanity check. Fuzzy, so you got a great car. Yeah, what's wrong with it today? The types on my car are broken. Ugh. All right, I might be hungry for breakfast, man. I told myself I would stream for an hour, and I did it. So we might do some type inference. I don't know. Something. I don't really care about this side of the code. I care about you, the user, and what you see. And I think what you see as a user is pretty good. So we get the ID form back. Field errors are hoisted up. We no longer need this. We don't need manual types. And we don't even need this handle post. Because Pilcrow, we were talking about how you want to split out to a separate function so you can have early returns anywhere that you want it. But I realized most of the early returns are validation. And if all of your validation can happen in here, then it's just not an issue anymore. It's totally fine to just have conditionals and no helper functions like this, like handle post thing. Because we don't care about that, right? We don't care to do that, and we don't have to care about success or fail because those are top level. So there's no need for any of this, really. All we have to do now is grab this, remove all of that. Success is just at the top level now. So we can say, look how much simpler that got. So you can just say, if ID form success, redirect. The whole function disappeared just by putting validation here. That's the power of this. This is why I was so excited about doing it. So if we do, and we do need to figure out like making the field errors easier to grab, but we could say, if not ID form success, I don't even care about the UL. Let it be empty because I don't want the conditional anymore. ID form success and then we would just do this doohickey. And here, let's play a game. Count the parens. Welcome to JSX. How many parentheses should we have? Place your bets now. All right, so it would be ID form dot error dot flatten. Error dot form errors dot field errors. It's way too nested, you know. That should be top level. That's what I want to do. Field errors dot name. If it's not successful, do this. I want to hoist field errors to the top so you don't have to do this because that's insane. But otherwise, everything looks great. That's cool. And that was our dream type. Now we're mostly there. So this is our redirect. Also, I'm sorry, Matthew. We implemented our own redirect because the web is weird. I can explain why later. But TLDR, we need to hoist redirects out of a component, and this is how we're doing it. It's a mess. But anyways, we now have validation at the top level instead. Is there any unsaved file? No. That means we should run it. And if it works, I'm going to call that a successful stream. All right. So we have our loading state. If it's successful, it takes you there. That's good. If it fails, same error. Let's go. Let's go. That's clean. Tell me you wouldn't use this. Tell me you would not use this. Because this looks good. This looks good to me. Oh, and we don't even need name equals initial name, do we? Because we don't reassign name anymore. Yeah. Yeah, let me simplify that too. Ta-da. This is so simple. Simple form. How about that? So there's a lot that is missing, probably. We don't handle checkboxes, for example. We need to massage checkboxes into booleans so you can use booleans. But that's easy enough. We might have to go back to iterating over the object keys to make sure if it is a boolean, then pre-process, otherwise don't. Like we have to look at your schema, see if you expect a boolean, and then go back and make the checkbox look good. Like that's what we have to do now. But it's doable. It's fine. Hey friends, hey Nikki, thanks for the raid. I was about to end the stream, but thank you for the raid. I really appreciate it. What are y'all up to? How y'all doing? Astro.self. What is Astro.self again? If you put a validator on a separate worker thread. No! I'm just doing it in middleware. I don't care. Oh, Pilcrow, stop doing my job. What is Astro.self again? Isn't that just recursively rendering the component? Because I don't think we need that. I think we're okay. Yeah, reference itself recursively. I think we're good. I don't think we need that yet. But it could be something for redirects. What is your primary tech stack? Astro, Astro, and Astro. I'm actually working on the simple stack right now that should answer that question. The simple stack is a collection of libraries that I'm working on to make Astro a really nice choice for more dynamic content sites. So we're talking e-commerce. We're talking event sites, you know, like Eventbrite or a conference invite system. We're talking anything that has a lot of content and also some forums that need to mutate that content. I want to build towards that future, so I'm calling this the simple stack, where we're going to build a form library, for example, to make forms easier to use. We're going to build a partials library in order to help you partially re-render parts of the page whenever you send updates. Like we're just making this little world inside of Astro that should make it a little more appealing for those kinds of sites. So that's my stack, the simple stack. Get ready. Just worked on open source. Oh, nice. Started streaming my work a couple weeks ago. It's all open source. That's good. Stream that open source. That's how we get people in the door. That's how we get contributors. So love it. Calling it simple form. I am going to call it, it might have to be simple stack / form. So the namespace I'm looking for on NPM right now is simple stack. So it'll be at simple stack / form / partial / scope. That's a cool one. Also / route. This is an exciting one that I haven't really talked about, but this is going to be one of them. And that's it. So there is Simple Stack UI, but I don't think that's it. There's Simple Stacks, a Simple Stack implementation. That makes sense because stacks are a computing concept. So Simple Stack on its own is a thing. Default stack for a simple API with a weird markdown header. Last published 11 years ago. So we could totally grab Simple Stack if we want that one. But I think the organization Simple Stack should be safe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. Because I don't think we'll get simple form. And I don't really want to either. Yeah, that exists. And it should exist. One download. But hey, you were a hero and you went and built it. Form filter trim, you got process. This was before validation libraries were around, because we're talking 8 years ago. Heroic. Honestly, not a bad looking API on first glance. I wouldn't use it because now there's cool things. But ooh, you got is not empty. Got toString and trim. You got trim. Trim's cool. I like that. Okay, so there is a simple form out there. It's not bad. You a developer who works on Astro? I am. I'm a full-time Astro employee, which does mean I have a little bias, but it's also why I can do a Twitch stream during work hours, because we're talking about Astro. We're getting people hyped on it. So it works. T5 stack. To give you, yeah, there's already T4. There's a name collision there. But nah, this is its own thing. This is its own thing. I wanted to call it like the B9 stack, because bholmes dev is 9 characters. But B9 and 6.9 look very similar when you write them out. So I don't think we're going to do that. And it's not catchy. So the reason I'm calling it the simple stack is because libraries are getting too complicated. Server components really showed a need in the community for something that is easier to use. So I think writing in on the name simple will strike a chord where people are like, I want something simpler than this crazy Next.js migration. I want something that's just HTML instead of whatever bundler system this is. We're going back to basics. We could even call it basics if we wanted to. B9 sounds like benign, which is also not good. I agree. I think you should publish more documentation. There is, for Astro, Astro has a bunch of documentation, dude. What are you missing in Astro's documentation? Are there pain points in there? Because I know that the documentation team is super open to any gaps that we need to fill. So are there gaps in the documentation for Astro? Is there something that we should add? Because I'll say for the simple stack, we've documented nothing. We're just playing with ideas on stream, and we're slowly releasing ideas when we have them. We will see. Go B12, big pharma. Whoa. Get that multivitamin, dude. Get that multivitamin. I like that. Oh, man. Okay, so we got simple form working. I'm really proud of that. There are some places to improve and corners of our types that we need to fix somehow. But in general, we got it working. I'm wondering if we can import from here just so the types are shared. Like, I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. Because I could remove the generic and see if that helps things. But I have no idea. I really don't know. Like if I just do this, yeah, it doesn't work. Promise return type unknown is now assignable to base input type T, base object input type T, yada yada. Yeah, I think it is generics that don't quite line up with what it expects. And I just don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix that. I think I just want to ignore the type checking here and get it good enough and then just typecast it because stop talking. It should work. It's generics that don't line up, which is kind of a shame. I don't really know how to fix it. I guess my last ditch effort would be to just take this and plop it in and see if that helps. If that helps, then great. But I don't think it will. Oh my God, it did. That helped. Why did that help? So now the types line up. So now this doesn't line up. Oh my, interesting. So what if I inline this now? What if I inline that? Why does that not work? It's a safe parse result. We're returning a safe parse result. What? No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's probably because the generics don't kick in until later now. So it's like, oh yeah, the return types are fine, but the generics don't line up, so I'm going to scream at you.
Odd format error is not. Exactly. So it's type unknown still, just because the generic may or may not be defined. I hate generics, dude. I hate them more now that I'm seeing what's going on here because wow. Wowie wow. Yeah, we're going to need a typecast, but whatever. As long as these types, the one that you as the user see, are good, then I think we are good. So yeah, just going to move on from that. I'm going to commit this up as well in case anyone wants to look at it. So I'm going to call this, and look at how this turned into this. Like, that is so beautiful. I think most of your complex if-else stuff is error handling and parsing. So if we can take all of that out, then we don't need form actions. We don't need fancy conventions. We can just parse your forms, and if there is one, you can handle it. Like, I think we're in a really good spot right now. Feat, add validation to simple form. Oh, I typed simple 4, but that's good enough. All right. If I want to join Astro, what are the minimum requirements? Xform. Oh my God, Fuzzy, you're giving me ideas. If I want to join Astro, so what do you mean by join? Because right now we're not hiring full-time salaried employees. We're kind of on a freeze while we're building cool stuff. But we will eventually have like open hiring. So there is that avenue. You can apply for a full-time job. You can also just be a contributor, of course. So there is, even for internship. We don't offer internships, and I'm not sure if we will in the next year, but I can ask. I can always ask. I can tell you, of course, you can be an open source contributor for free. If you submit one PR, you're instantly a contributor. And we have a election process to get you to a maintainer. And usually we nominate maintainers that have contributed multiple times and repeatedly to Astro. And then from there, you can be a core contributor. So there isn't a salary if you're a maintainer or a core member, but you can get payouts when we do our quarterly, what do we call those? Well, we have an open collective, and we collect funds from our sponsors and just people around the community. And community awards, that's what I'm thinking of. So you can get paid if you're a regular contributor to Astro, and we say, this person is awesome. We're going to give them some of these open collective funds. So you can get money like that if you're just a contributor in the Astro space. But yeah, as a full-time employee, you can either, once we start hiring, you can submit your resume and do all of that. But I will tell you, hires in the past have come from contributors. So I would definitely become a contributor to Astro. Just look at our open issues and see if you can find one that's approachable. Submit a PR for it. And then if you do that repeatedly, suddenly we know who you are. We've seen you around. So it becomes a much easier hire to do because you've proven yourself. That's the beauty of open source, is you can prove yourself without having to go through the interview process. So, we do still interview, but ahead of the interview process, you can do that. So go ahead and definitely look at our open issues. That's where I would start. And once we start hiring, we can get more serious. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. And our docs are probably where it's more approachable. I don't know if you know another language, but we internationalize our docs all the time, so that's an easy one. But we also do have just, if you think something needs to be documented better, I think you mentioned that. If you think something can be documented better, submit a PR with what you think it should be. Or look at the improved documentation sections and just improve that. Like, you don't have to be a code contributor. You can just contribute to docs. That's where most of our contributors are, actually. Look at how many we have, 756. That's more than the code base. So if you want to contribute to Astro, start with docs. Start with docs. And I'll send the link here if anyone wants that. But I think y'all know where that repo is. So go there. That's where I would start. Yes, I will. Fantastic. Yeah, that's where I would go. And I know we have like documentation calls and our Discord, all of that. So you can join that as well. But low barrier to entry, just check out the repo. Well said. Thank you, Fuzzy. I feel like I've been rehearsing it. I didn't even know that I had it in me. But I know how to... I guess I know what Astro's looking for. I guess I know. Okay, so I think I'm going to call it here. But as always, you can find my code on the open sources. We're still working on this repo here, but I'll just link you straight to the sauce. This is the form library that we built, and I'll try to package it up. But if you want to look at the source code, for now, it's going to be here. Also tomorrow, Daily Dev is doing a little Islands architecture talk, which is really exciting. So they're over here. I don't know where I can link you directly to the conference, but you can follow me on Twitter, and that's where you'll find it. So let me see here. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to find this conference, but I know, which is probably a bad thing. Why did I agree to this if I don't know how to promote it? Yeah, that's going to be my theme for next year's. Maybe commit to things once you know all the details. But we're going to be talking about stuff I love, so I don't care. Catch me on there. We're going to be building Eventbrite with Cloudflare Workers, with Simpleform, the thing we just showed off. We're going to use Simpleform live, and we're going to use a little Preact component to show off Islands, because it's an Islands architecture talk. We got to throw a Preact component on there somewhere. It'll probably be something real simple, like updating the price whenever you update quantity. Like, just something to show off Islands. But yeah, it'll be a live coding talk. We're going to wing it. But it should be good. I think it'll be good. So check it out. If I go to Daily Dev, you might find it there. Or Monthly Dev? I can't remember. It's some period of time dev. Dang it. I want to find this event. We have apps and docs. We have try now. 1 minute. Because I have a calendar event. I'm going to go ahead and hide my screen while I look at my calendar. Yeah. Oh man, I really got to go. Yeesh. But yeah, the monthly dev, Islands architecture. I'm going to be filming it on StreamYard, so I don't know where they're streaming this out. Yeah, check my Twitter. I'll have the full details on there once I can start inviting people. Yeah, so head over there. My Twitter. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next stream, people. I'm going to go ahead and raid someone just to get stuff going here. Primeation's live, as always. It looks like he's streaming on Twitter as well, which is interesting. Yeah, let's go ahead and raid the Primeation. Why not? Keep it basic. Raid the... There we go. A raid has been created. So yeah, thanks for joining me, people. Oh, we had a lot of viewers. We had a lot of viewers today. Even though my camera's crappy, I hope I sound good. But yeah, we stream weekly. We stream on Mondays and Thursdays. Let me lower this. We stream on Mondays and Thursdays. Thanks. You're welcome, man. So catch me this Thursday, and maybe other days of the week as well. I have a very sporadic schedule, but definitely Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Drop a follow, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, take care, people.